tried to give them to us. Yeah. So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point in his career.
The moving up in weight classes, serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that,
let's call a spade, right? When you get bigger, you do slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's gonna be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make. Sometimes it does wind up that way, but I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. Put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and it didn't affect him.
Roy Jones Jr. asserts that Canelo Alvarez will not be able to withstand Terence Crawford, pointing to a loss of energy and sharpness that Canelo once possessed. He voiced concern over Canelo's current form, wondering why he appears to have declined at this point in his career. In contrast, Jones commended Crawford's drive, concentration, and elite-level abilities. He stressed that the weight gap will not determine the outcome, as Crawford's technique, timing, and fight IQ capable of offsetting any size edge. According to Jones, meeting a fighter as skilled and persistent as Crawford will reveal Canelo's present weaknesses, making the contest far more dangerous than many expect.
It'll all be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch. What I'm seeing is I see a hungry Crawford, a Crawford that has been looking for the opportunity for a long time, finally getting the opportunity, and really ready to grab the opportunity. And with Canelo, I see a guy who not necessarily hungry, but loves to entertain, loves to give us the big fights. Always tries to give the big fights. He finds a way to give us big fights. Not gonna always win them, but he always tries to give them to us. So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point in his career. I don't know. It'll all be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch.
Yeah. You said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
When you know how to box, when you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter much.
Jones cautions that if Canelo enters the ring with overconfidence, assuming victory over Terence is inevitable, he may face a severe wake-up call. He highlights that undervaluing Terence's abilities and strategy could result in Canelo enduring a difficult and possibly punishing loss inside the ring.
It's a hard one to call, and I'm going to tell you why it's hard to call. It's a hard one to call because it'll all be predicated upon how Canelo approaches the fight. If Canelo approaches the fight like he's the man and he can box and outbox Terence Crawford, he'll get beat. If he comes out and shows that he really wants to go out and prove whether he's still the best, he might win. So it all depends on which Canelo come to the dance.
Olympic boxer Amari Jones has openly stated his belief that Terence Crawford will emerge victorious against Canelo Alvarez. Jones explained that Crawford's weight increase for this fight is unlike the typical method used by boxers moving up divisions. Instead of recklessly adding bulk, Crawford has approached the process with precision and planning. He has kept his quickness and mobility by sticking to a proper diet and training program, while putting in the necessary work to compete at a heavier class. Jones sees this disciplined preparation as making the fight a greater opportunity for Crawford to succeed.
The grit and me personally meeting Crawford several times, it's like the man is just so competitive. It's like I don't even have to say nothing to him. He'll just like, man, when we sparring, it's like his competitiveness is always gonna put him over the edge, and then he just has that I'm not gonna let you bully me, or his skill set. I know they talk about Charlo when Charlo moved up, but I feel like it may be a little bit different for Canelo this time around because Crawford took the moving up in weight classes serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that, it's a win-win. So
you don't think Crawford, gaining that weight, because I saw him, he's pretty big. You don't think that's going to be a disadvantage for him in this fight?
No, it looked like he put it on the right way.
Even with the real challenge of facing a larger opponent, Crawford's skill, dedication, and discipline will allow him to adjust effectively. Jones notes that Crawford is not simply gaining mass for size alone. He is shaping his body to carry the weight efficiently without losing the attributes that make him dangerous in the ring. To Jones, this matchup is proof of a disciplined athlete, pushing himself to higher limits and showing his capability to rise to the moment against one of boxing's most dangerous champions.
Right way. You know, the nutrition, the like I said, the training. You know, Crawford, he trains hard. So I feel like, I know they say he probably went up to like 185, so he has to lose that weight. But I think if he did it the right way, which I know he did, he'll be successful in September.
And I know, like we discussed earlier, we talked with your pro debut, and now you're 3-0. Your last fight, July 19th against Blanco, and it was actually your third win by knockout.
Yes.
Super proud of you. How are you feeling about your pro career so far?
I'm feeling great about my pro career. I definitely feel like it's off to a great start. My pro debut in my hometown, and then I was my second fight, Atlantic City, on the Boots card, and then my third fight on the Bam Rodriguez undercard. So Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, they're putting me on these cards, shining light on me, giving me the TV time.
Former champion Paulie Malignaggi has observed Crawford's physical changes leading into this fight, especially his increased size. Malignaggi views this as a clear advantage rather than a problem. In his eyes, Crawford has successfully added mass without losing the speed, movement, and timing that define his style. Malignaggi pointed out that many fighters slow down and lose agility when they move up in weight, but Crawford appears to have avoided that decline.
Listen, let's call a spade, right? When you get bigger, you do slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's going to be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make, because sometimes it does wind up that way. But I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. Put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and it didn't affect him. Good old Manny Pacquiao did the same thing, So there's times where it affects, and there's times where I guess if you put it on the right way. Only Crawford knows it because the way he's training, right? Because you're going to be sparring with this added weight. You're going to be doing the boxing training with this added weight. So you're going to know how to, maybe taper it down if you need to, or keep it going if you need to. I think over the course of camp, if you start to feel too yoked up and, you get big, and then, you're sacrificing reflexes, you're sacrificing athleticism, I think you're going to feel it.
Crawford seems to have found the right mix, gaining the strength and durability needed to face a naturally larger foe like Canelo, while keeping the mobility required to use his style. Malignaggi credits Crawford's professionalism and training focus, saying the physical growth has enhanced his already strong skill set. In short, Malignaggi believes Crawford can perform at his highest level despite the weight jump, and might even gain extra power to handle Canelo's pressure.
Heavyweight kind of weight. What's your thought about that?
Yeah, Roy Jones is Roy Jones, but also Terence Crawford is Terence Crawford. But John Ruiz is not Canelo Alvarez. So that's another aspect of that comparison. And yes, exactly what the champ said, exactly what Abel Sanchez said, you're going to put on weight, you're going to be a different fighter. And I can say this, even as a fighter as myself, as I've gotten heavier in my retirement, I try and move around the gym, it just feels different. And even when you start camp, you feel different in the beginning than you do at the end. But listen, we're still 4 or 5 weeks away. I don't know exactly what Terence is weighing right now. And even if he does say what he weighs, man, he's gone out there and said he's weighed, all types of crazy numbers just to get media to respond. So it's really not really going to know until the fight and we see these guys next to each other. He might look bigger right now, but he might not be that heavy.
Analyst Max Kellerman has provided a detailed technical look at the Terence Crawford-Canelo Alvarez matchup. Kellerman pointed out that Crawford's jab is now one of the sport's most accurate and effective tools. It is quick, well-timed, and can control a fight's tempo. While Canelo also had an excellent jab earlier in his career, Kellerman notes, it has declined in recent years. This gives Crawford an edge in controlling range and scoring points. Kellerman also praised Crawford's in-fight intelligence, calling him a boxer who makes rapid adjustments and exploits chances others might miss.
Add attribute. First attribute, best jab.
Crawford.
Best defense.
Crawford. Nowadays, Crawford. I would say early in the fight, Canelo. And earlier in his career, Canelo. But he hasn't been that kind of fighter in recent years. Although Crawford is also hittable. With any fighter, when you talk about their defense, the question is not, can they be hit with a shot? You take punches. Everyone, the greatest defensive fighters ever get hit. Pernell Whitaker, Willie Pep, Floyd Mayweather, they all get hit. The question is, can you hit them with combinations? And both guys are hard to hit. with the two-piece. Hard to hit.
So who has the best footwork out of the two?
In terms of cutting off the ring, last fight notwithstanding, Canelo has gotten much better at cutting off the ring.
He compared this to Canelo's heavy reliance on natural size, power, and strength, which often lets him overpower smaller foes. Kellerman believes that if Crawford can slow Canelo's forward charge and turn the fight into a tactical duel, the advantage will swing heavily in Crawford's favor. This mix of sharp technique and high fight IQ, Kellerman says, is one of Crawford's best weapons going into this contest.
Early in his career, he had a problem with that and was much more comfortable counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford.
Okay.
But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton.
Popular commentator Showbiz, the adult, has given a fair and respectful view of the fight. He acknowledged Canelo's physical power and the intensity of his training, which have kept him dominant at elite levels. Canelo's toughness, ability to take punishment, apply pressure, and land crisp counters makes him a threat to any fighter. At the same time, Showbiz praised Crawford's rare background, noting that his early wrestling experience gives him an edge in reading opponents, countering moves, and adapting under stress.
Canelo uses his legs, he uses his core, and then his neck itself to lift up Bivol like Bivol was a featherweight. That is a huge representation of how strong Canelo is. When you look at his workouts, you can tell why he was able to do that. All these damn neck exercises that I wouldn't dare do. Okay, that stuff looks painful. The squatting and all that stuff that he's doing is exactly why Canelo Alvarez, honestly, is a strong fighter. He tried to do it again with William Skull. William Skull shook out of it, but he is a bull. Listen, Terence Bud Crawford is strong. He is, okay? And he understands leverage and he understands those things because he wrestled. Honestly, very true. But Saul Canelo Alvarez is also extremely strong.
Within the boxing world, a shared belief has formed. Crawford's game plan will be the key to the fight's outcome. Experts agree this bout is not just another date on the calendar, but a career test for Crawford that could place him among the sports legends. Defeating Canelo would silence any remaining doubts and lift Crawford's legacy to new heights. To win, Crawford must depend on accuracy, patience, and adaptability while avoiding wild exchanges where Canelo's power is most dangerous. Analysts insist his focus should be on controlling range, using angles to block Canelo's advance, and steadily wearing him down. They believe the victor will be the fighter who stays mentally sharp and sticks to their strategy over all 12 rounds.
He understands that he has to be smart. And I think with this one specifically, it ain't just about being smart. He knows he has to look like he's never looked before. Because again, if he doesn't and he beats Canelo, everybody's just gonna say, well, that's Crawford. You know, so I think he knows that this is the performance of a lifetime and everything has to look right. He knows in order for it to look right, he can't just go out there and let the dog go. The dog is, you know, he got to work his way up to the dog. Hey, show the clip real quick. I don't know if you showed it already, but this is the dog you're talking about right here, right? And so this is, I pulled this clip right here. I seen it on social media this morning.
Don't do that. That's what I'm saying.
And I pulled this clip, right? But this is Terence.
That's who he is.
He's not gonna swing on Canelo. He already know that part of the game. But what I asked you, were you ever trying to send a message to your opponents? He's letting you know, and it's no act. And that's what I really wanted to show, is that's not an act.
No.
That's not, there's 30 security guards.
It feels a little contrived.
You think so?
I think a lot of people feel it's a little like.
Well, I'm glad you used the big word that most of us don't know.
Hey, I don't fight as good as you guys. I had to learn some big words, right, to make up for that.
Don't look it up. Just ignore
you
what he
need
said,
big words to get out of fights. You need big words to get out of fights. But okay. So case in point, our guy Hafey, sitting right there, producer extraordinaire. He had a picture of Terence Crawford in New York for the Crawford Spence press conference, and there was this look when Terence he gave this look to Spence that reminded me of like Dwight Muhammad Kawi and a young George Foreman. And
super middleweight contender Edgar Berlanga has given his opinion on Crawford's mindset before facing Canelo. Berlanga advised Crawford to stay committed to the style and approach that earned him success, rather than making big changes. To counter the size gap, he admitted that jumping to weight classes is a huge challenge, but said it also balances some aspects of the fight. Berlanga believes Crawford's skills, ring smarts, and adaptability will matter more than matching Canelo's physicality. He stressed the need for discipline, precise execution, and calmness under pressure. Berlanga added that taking such a dangerous fight already proves Crawford has the mindset of a champion.
First of all, he got to go in there and he just got to fight him. You know what I'm saying? He got to go in there. I think Crawford just got to go in there and do what he got to do. You know what I'm saying? He got to just be Crawford, show his IQ, show him why he's a two-time undisputed, world champion, and go in there with confidence. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. It's a big weight difference, a big weight jump. That could be a difference in the fight. Because obviously, it's like me jumping up to heavyweight. Obviously, I'm a foot of power. I'm a foot of that size difference. Compared to my other fights. So I just think that he got to go in there and just be himself. And I said, if he loses, we'll just all know that, hey, he just jumped up 2 weight classes to be great. You know what I'm saying? It's not. He can't really. He's testing himself. He's putting himself. Testing himself a great fighter. So, and I don't doubt him. I don't got no doubt in my mind. He's a 2-time undisputed world champion for a reason. So, and I don't think nothing's gonna phase him in that fight. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the power, maybe the size. You know what I'm saying? And Canelo, he's not knocking Canelo out. So, he just got to go in there just IQ.
Would you lean towards Canelo still in that fight?
I got faith in him. I think Crawford could do it. You know what I'm saying? I think he could do it. Just like I said, just the size. The only shit that throws the fight off is the size and, obviously the power. And Canelo's IQ too, because Canelo got IQ, you know what I'm saying? And Canelo fought a lot much bigger guys, So I know the Crawford's power ain't gonna phase him. I know Crawford's size ain't gonna phase him either, you know what I'm saying? So, but for me, I think it's a 50-50 fight.
Legendary trainer and analyst Teddy Atlas has delivered a short but strong opinion. He believes Terence Crawford is truly special and carries greatness within him. Atlas sees in Crawford a rare mix of physical ability, technical mastery, and mental toughness that allows him to rise when it matters most. He says greatness is not only about talent, but about delivering when the stakes are highest, something Crawford has done many times. To Atlas, this fight is yet another chance for Crawford to display his greatness on boxing's biggest platform.
Maybe he's a little overrated. Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds.
Canelo's really good. Really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. I think he has. Canelo's really good. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? The greatness is within Crawford. It's in his desire. It's in his mind. It's in his makeup, where he came from. I know he's moving up in weight class. Can he carry it? But those intangibles, I believe that he has them.
That's it. Write your thoughts and comments about it. Subscribe and stay tuned.